Fill her up, please.
What'll it be, fellas? Mustard?
Anime is such a diverse medium. I see lots of highs and lots of lows. But what about the in-betweens? The shows that never really got popular enough for people to bother commenting on. Let's cut back 2 years ago. I was sitting down with my old roommate looking for a new show to watch. Amidst all the peak content on Crunchyroll like Plus Sized Elf or One Punch Man Season 2, there was one show that managed to peek out to us, like a tank through the fog of war. High Card. High Card? What is that? The only high card I know is the type I play in Balatro because I'm too stupid to do anything else.
We gotta level Pluto.
But against my judgment, we turned it on. And oh boy, let me tell you, what I saw next changed my life. Not really, but I want to start out the video with high praise, because I really like High Card. It's really, really good. What I'm going to talk about is probably one of my favorite anime of the 2020s. It's a show that I think has a little bit of everything. Really good animation, one-of-a-kind soundtrack, neat power system, and a sense of style that's gone underrated for years. I want to cover everything about its creation, break down what makes it so special, and hopefully by the end of this video, I can convince you into being a fan of it as much as I am. So what is a high card? High Card, the show, is one part of a bigger multimedia franchise created by Homura Kawamoto, creator of Kakaguri, and his brother Hikari Muno. It consists of, a manga, a novelization, drama CDs, a radio show, whatever this is, a mobile game, and finally, an anime. Right now, the anime is all I want to focus on. We'll revisit all of this stuff later. The anime was obviously the main focus of this whole endeavor anyway, so I feel like it's got the most weight. So what's this show all about? The show follows a group of suited-up individuals, all hired by the government to discreetly track down people who have their hands on special playing cards. These cards, when played, give the user access to unique abilities. The main characters utilize their own cards in an effort to stop people from abusing theirs. Easy. The best anime I could compare it to would be Charlotte, I guess? But I'm hesitant to say that because unlike Charlotte, this anime isn't literally fucking insane. If the vibes you get so far from these clips reminds you of Kingsman, that's because that was the creator's main intent. They wanted the show to essentially be a Kingsman shonen. There's plenty of similarities here, from the setting to the style of fights. The main crew even runs a high-profile business they use as a cover for their real operations. The roommate I started watching this show with, he was the main reason I got into High Card in the first place. He was a Kingsman fan before me, and he really wanted to see all the similarities. In an Anime NYC Q&A, the duo said that this inspiration was tied into their desire to give the show a global audience appeal. Heck, this was such a big goal for them that the series' world premiere wasn't even in Japan. It was in a showing in New York City. That's weird to think about, right? Did this work out for them? Well, according to the article I found about the event, the reception went over really well. The audience was really excited about High Card, and it seemed like from day one the show was going to be really popular and come out of the gate swinging. So let's give a little rundown of that first episode the NYC viewers got to see. I think an understanding of how the show plays out is necessary when talking about it. Is it kind of lazy? Yeah, but it's my channel, so I don't care. But really, High Card isn't a show that tries to be that complicated. This isn't like an average shonen where I'd have to delve into spoiler territory or explain the mechanics of its battle system, because whereas other anime of the same variety pride themselves on serialization, High Card is kind of like anime Phineas and Ferb, for the most part. Episodes follow a very distinct formula. That's not to say there isn't a story, there totally is. If you're into that, the show has it for you too, but I want you to be watching this as spoiler-free as possible. All you really need to understand about High Card in terms of what I want to talk about today is presented in this first episode. Episode 1 introduces us to our main character, Finn Oldman. He's a local morally gray thief. He takes from people and pawns their stuff off to keep his old orphanage afloat. Finn has one of these special cards. The pawn shop he frequents tries to buy it off of him, but even with his orphanage on the brink of closure, he refuses to give it up, for reasons he won't say. What a mystery. Side tangent, the way this show is written is so funny to me. Like, Finn refuses to sell his card to the pawn shop, so the guy tells him to go play with cards if he wants to keep it so much, and he actually does, by heading to this universe's version of Las Vegas. It's like that scene in Spider-Man 3 where Peter tells Eddie to go get religion, and the next time you see him, he's literally in a church. It's great. Here he meets a man named Lucky Lunchman, a gambler who's on a massive winning streak, all thanks to his lucky gloves. Finn ends up getting wrapped in an interrogation with Lucky and a man named Bobby Ball, where the show introduces you to the card system that I described. It turns out that they both have cards of their own. Lucky Lunchman has the 10 of diamonds, which allows him infinite luck in any situation, explaining how he was able to be such a big shot at the casino. Bobby Ball has the 3 of diamonds, which allows him to turn anything he touches into marbles. Yes, they are named after their powers. No, they are not nicknames. Kojima was an uncredited author of this series. To interrupt the fight, we meet our second main character, Chris Redgrave. He's a member of the High Card Initiative, the government agency I described that's used to track down and collect all of these cards. A fight ensues. Lucky is f***ing decapitated. Chris uses his card, the 5 of Hearts, which gives him immortality and regeneration as long as he has enough calories in his body to support it. Finn ends up escaping the situation using his ultra thieving powers and runs away with Lucky's card. From here on, you get to see what really makes High Card shine in my opinion. The rest of this episode consists of a really fun chase scene where everyone is trying to catch Finn with the help of their powers. Bobby sacrifices parts of his car to make more marbles, and Chris drives into them recklessly knowing he'll be able to survive whatever happens. Every episode pretty much follows that format. The cards are causing havoc, and High Card needs to stop them. The style of fights in this show are ones that could only happen because of the premise. You rarely get a fight scene that doesn't take advantage of the playing card format, which is great. The episode ends with Finn unleashing his card for the first time, the 2 of Spades, which gives him a revolver with infinite ammo. He shoots down Mr. Ball in the most epic and horrific way I've ever seen. After that, Finn is recruited to join High Card. Each episode after this follows some variation of the formula I mentioned. It's not always like that. Like I said, there is a story, and the show does take time near the end of this first season to have a bigger, serialized, multi-part event. Not to mention there are new rules to the card system that get established later on, but for the most part, that's the show. So what makes this series so special in my eyes? Well, I really think it comes down to the presentation. High Card nails that Kingsman style it was aiming for. The show is just oozing with it. The music, for one, I think is great. It's all very jazzy and proud of it. Unlike other series, the music in this show will often play loud enough to overtake scenes and become the main focus, but somehow not in an annoying way where you can't hear the characters talk. It's all pretty well done. They evidently had a big variety of musical talent for this show, and they really wanted to show it off. Characters will be talking in a bar accompanied by smooth jazz and soft wind instruments. Then we'll move on to a car chase scene that features more heavy brass you'd often hear out of a spy thriller. Or maybe the characters will be in a casino, accompanied by piano and trumpets or trombones. You just never get the sense for a second that this series was made cheaply. If you want a better understanding of what I'm talking about, you should just go watch the opening, honestly. It's got some really cool James Bond-esque visuals and a song by the band 5 New Old. I think it's great. You'll love it. I wish I could show it to you. Oh well. Aw, what the heck. Screw YouTube. Here's a clip. Wow, wasn't that amazing? One thing I have been able to show you this whole time though is the animation, and I think it's amazing. It's not as fluid as a peak shonen that'll have come out in the same year, but the visuals are absolutely unmatched. When I said earlier that this show was produced by the same studio that made Ass Class, that was technically true. Studio Hibari, the animators for High Card, produced Ass Class, which was animated by Studio Lurch. Hibari has never really made something like this before. Go on their Mal page, sort by what they actually animated, and you'll see High Card surrounded by, well, I'll say it, trash. Which is why researching this video surprised me so much. The show looks amazing. How did it turn out like this? Even the director of High Card, Junichi Wada, doesn't have a ton of quality under his belt or anything. Well, there's not a lot of info online that I could find, but I'm gonna assume since Studio Lurch and Hibari are usually so intertwined, they probably had a lot of the same freelance staff working on this. What an underdog story, right? With that in mind, I always really liked the animation for Assassination Classroom, and for me it's cool to see the same people that presumably made that get to make a show that really benefits from how vibrant and colorful their animation usually is. The design for the casino portion of that first episode was probably one of the best looking environments I've ever seen in a show, and it extends beyond that. A show about playing cards first and foremost should obviously be flashy. Poker is a game all about presentation. Not even just the building it takes place in, but how the players present themselves. And that was translated really well into this. The players in this show all exude so much aura. The cards themselves are never boring to watch be used, which is something I really appreciate. Even a mundane power like Finn's gets elevated tenfold by how cool I think he looks using it. The fights themselves are really good too. Things are always moving along really quickly and elevated at a great pace. This isn't really a fighting series, so it's not like there's constant action on screen, but the build up to it is always worth it, I think. One thing I do want to talk about though is the CGI. There exists a constant moral dilemma in the anime circle jerk realm. Is CGI and anime good? I'm of the camp that no, it's usually not. In order for an anime that's entirely CGI to work, I think the quality of it needs to be so high that they may as well have hand animated it anyway. In this show, CGI is used fairly consistently, especially with the cars, which is a problem that I can't ignore, because so much of this show is car chases. But for what it is, I think it looks alright. There are some misses here and there, sure, but it's easy to enjoy the action and forget that it's even there, honestly. Most scenes filmed inside of the car are done from an angle that hides the CGI really well. Even shots filmed outside the car usually try to hide the look with motion blur, fog, or smoke. It's evident that the studio knew their limitations and they tried to make it as acceptable as possible, and so I commend them for that. Finally, I think the premise for this show is just so cool. I think it's really easy for the show to have gotten lost in people's recommendations because of how many card anime are out there, but this show evidently isn't like any of them. It's not samey at all. iCard, unlike these shows, wasn't made to push a product. Well, except for all these products, but rather it eases you into its power system with the use of a pre-established game. It's just poker, the anime. And I like poker, the anime. Look, I really like Balatro, okay? I think it would have exploded had it come out in 2024 when that game blew up. The way this show utilizes the rules of the game in ways you wouldn't expect is really fun. Heck, the world they live in is even called Four Land, and it, like the high card crew before Finn shows up, is divided into 4 parts and 4 colors. Like the 4 suit. Okay, I didn't say it was subtle. You don't get a lot of shows like this anymore. Ones that, on paper, sound stupid, but in practice are really fun to watch, and are really well made. Maybe like Gachiakuta is kind of like that. Go watch Gachiakuta, by the way. It's why I recommend you give this show a watch. I think it's just really worth your time. But I don't know how many people would disagree with me in saying that. You see, I've told you a lot about high card in this video. Almost everything I know. And you probably could have guessed, but when I say everything, I mean except for the fact that it flopped. Massively. Now, I don't think it flopped in the sense that people didn't like it. All my friends I've ever introduced this show to think it's great. And all my questioning people about high card online, I only ever had one person even call it something as hurtful as boring, and that's just an assumption they had about it because they didn't even watch it. Nobody watched it. When I bring up high card, the problem is that most people just don't even know what I'm talking about. It flew so far under people's radars that to this day, nobody knows about it. Now, I don't have any direct interviews from the studio or creators talking about the show's success. Crunchyroll also doesn't disclose watch statistics, so I don't have numbers I can directly point to and show you how poorly the show did. But taking a look at the status of high card across the internet, I really don't think I'm assuming anything with the claim that it didn't live up to the hype the creators were anticipating back at that NYC premiere. I did a lot of research for this video, and the main issue I always ran into is just that people do not talk about this show anywhere, ever. Like, for example, I joined the High Card Discord group intending to ask some interview questions. A group with only 380 members, by the way. It took me 2 days to get a response back, and it was only from one person. Nobody is active there. The High Card Reddit only has 1,000 members. The latest post, as of me writing this script, was from 16 days ago. Any other anime series would have multiple posts an hour, a flourishing discussion group, fans, cosplayers, just like a presence. At all. iCard never got that. All of the multimedia material for this show, it apparently didn't attract a sizable audience. Heck, even the wiki hasn't gotten updated in like a year. What's especially weird is that on YouTube, clips of this show are pretty popular. Not like Demon Slayer popular, but 500,000 views ain't bad. When you go to the comments on these videos, they usually have almost no community attention, no likes or replies. And they're filled with people either acknowledging they haven't seen the show, or people just talking about how nobody else has seen it. Like, what? Is there a curse placed over this show? If it has this much attention on YouTube, why does nobody remember or talk about it? I'm so genuinely confused.
Hey, old Bud, you bring the stuff?
It's right here, huh?
Show it.
It's right here.
Show it.
It's right here.
Show it.
It's right there.
Somehow a show with this much material surrounding it, with this great of animation, with this soundtrack, promoted directly by Crunchyroll, just didn't get any traction in the past 3 years. Why is that? Well, based on personal experience and the responses I got back on Discord, I have a couple of theories. I don't think the show failed in being impressive. Rather, I think it failed in almost every other way. 1. Poor execution. Remember when I said that the creators wanted this show to have a worldwide appeal? There is so much multimedia content that launched alongside the show's run. Crossovers, the merchandising, oh my god. There were, holy shit, wine bottles, plushies, figurines, a lunchbox? Oh, you thought I was exacerbated before, man. Nameplates, stickers, standees, keychains, frames? It was obviously intended to be a much bigger show than it eventually was. Well, a question has been burning inside of me. If that was the case, then why the hell did so much of the multimedia content never make its way overseas? The manga, the novel, the CDs, this thing, the radio show, all of the merchandising, even the fucking mobile game, none of it left Japan. Why? If the goal was to appeal to foreign audiences, why was High Card as a franchise never supported like it? Did they see the poor anime reaction and decide it wasn't worth the effort? I don't know, but I think a lack of presence really ended up hurting the show. There is no way that I can directly pay for or support anything High Card related. The most that worldwide audiences could ever give this show was Crunchyroll watch time. On that note too, I have to ask, why wasn't this show dubbed? Now, I'm not going to participate in the debate of whether or not dubs are a good thing. You turbo virgins can do that yourselves for all I care. But let's be honest here. Dubs help a series' popularity out. A lot. If they didn't, we wouldn't be in the age of simuldub releases. Most Western anime fans had to grow up on dubs. It's what they're comfortable with. It's easy to consume, etc. And to launch this series, based on a Western IP, shown off at a world premiere in America, with the intent of a global audience takeover, in what world did they think it was a good idea not to dub it? There are talks online of people mentioning a dub was going to happen, so maybe like the novels and the manga, the plan was to dub it after it blew up, but come on, if that was the case, that's such a dumb idea. 2. There was no source material. High Card was an original concept, which I think is really cool, but honestly, I wonder if it was bad for getting any traction going. Many shows nowadays blow up because of the manga, and vice versa. Manga fans want to see their black and white pictures in color and motion, and anime fans want to keep the story going in between seasonal releases. It works out for everybody. In High Card's situation, it just came out. The manga, even if it did get translated, is not an adaptation of the anime. It's its own thing in the High Card verse. And that manga launched at the same time as the show, so there was no time for interested audiences to breathe. Number 3. Finn. Okay, so if there is one consistent complaint I can find about this show, it's that people don't like Finn. Specifically, the power he has. Infinite luck, marbles, immortality, all pretty interesting. Finn gets a revolver. Why does he just get a gun? Why does his power suck? Well, I know why his power sucks in canon. He has a card with a rank of 2. Cards scale based on their rank, so his isn't meant to be that impressive, but you run into an issue with that case. If Finn is the most boring character in the show to watch fight, what is there to be interested in? Now, I think that criticism is pretty shallow. There's a lot to Finn that makes him interesting. His backstory, his friendship with Chris, his skills as a thief, his design, it's all pretty cool. Heck, little spoiler warning, but the show places emphasis specifically on his power sucking, and it serves to build up to a reveal that there's part of his power he doesn't understand yet. Something that makes him much more useful. It's intentional for him to be a lesser force in High Card. I don't think Finn's power is a real problem, but it is for a lot of people evidently. Many anime fans apparently don't want that level of setup and payoff. They just want to watch cool fights, and make ships. And Finn, for that purpose, is a bad main character to have. He's not that cool. And Chris isn't gay. I too would have enjoyed if his card had a little more spectacle. Sure, I can't deny and say that would have been pretty interesting, but I think it's an unfair complaint to make about the show, to be honest. All that to say, I believe these circumstances may have all contributed to the show currently being in the place it's at. Heck, I've rewritten this script multiple times, contemplated whether or not I should even make this video. This is my channel's first video after all. Why am I making a review of something that nobody even cares about? There's a good chance this won't blow up at all. Well, I think you should care about High Card. I don't think it deserves the status it currently has. I wanted to make that known. I just wish I had made this video a little sooner. You read the title. I mean it. You should have seen this show sooner. It's too late now. High Card is over, and it ended like a wimp. The merchandise isn't for sale anymore. As far as I can tell, you can't even pirate the manga if you wanted to, and you have to go through third-party fan uploads just to look at anything else. The show got a second season that ended last year, but because of what I can only assume was the poor reception to Season 1, Season 2 was pretty bad. I can't lie. Like, it's not terrible, but it's a big downgrade from Season 1. The animation quality got worse. The main villain was entirely CGI, and unlike the cars, they didn't even try to hide it. The music wasn't as great either, and the narrative that was building up in the background got entirely rushed through in the span of a few episodes, just so the series could end on a somewhat complete note. If only High Card had a more successful launch, maybe we could be looking at a future where High Card got multiple seasons to go over everything it wanted to. Maybe the multimedia content would have been translated, but we don't live in that timeline. We live in this one, the crummy one. And that makes me really sad. Imagine my reaction when I first saw this show. I loved it to death, and there was nobody to talk about it with. Then I got wind of a new season, and that was a letdown too. It's like showing your pet cat a taste of the outside world, and then shutting the door on its face and never letting it experience that moment ever again. I don't know. I wish things could have been different. So where does that leave us? Well, no amount of audience traction at this point could save High Card. Even if this video gets 1 million views and people start talking about the show again, it's not going to change anything. I guess my point here is, if you want a cool show to watch, consider checking High Card out. If this video interested you and you're as into the history of the show as I am now, you might just find yourself enjoying it. Just one new fan for this show comparatively means a lot, and I think it would be appreciated. Anyway, High Card is Jover, Lucky is dead, and I need to go back to making bot accounts to shill solo leveling. So, I guess I'll catch you on the next one.